we're back with another edition of Planet Philly. Oh, it's so good to be back. So good to be back. We're back with another episode. We're excited. We are excited. Can I just say that first? Before we even get into it, Jason and Jen, I am ecstatic about Planet Philly going forward. We have a lot of new stuff planned. I think our content's going to be fantastic. I think we're going to have a lot of great stuff to talk about. And also, just the visual aspect of it, I think it's going to be much better than what we've seen in the past from Planet Philly. I'm excited about that. Our social media presence is going to skyrocket as well. But guys, we're back, and I'm so excited to talk some sports with you here on Planet Philly. Jen, so great to be with you. Jason as well. Jen, I'll go to you first. How ecstatic are you to be back? I mean, we're back talking sports again. We finally found the time. It's great.
Yeah, I'm extremely ecstatic. I mean, the one time that we take just a minor break from Planet Philly and then all of a sudden Philly sports do well. Like, we had the Phillies in the World Series and we had like the Eagles going undefeated for the most part, like throughout the season, but still making their way to getting the first seed. Like, the one time we take a little break and then everything just switches, like flips overnight, and then the Flyers even like starting to do good now. It's crazy, but I am super happy to be back, of course, and just being back in the swing of things, talking sports with you guys is great. I'm excited. I'm definitely excited.
Jason, I see you in your Phillies gear. I know. It was a great run. I'm excited, but now it's the Eagles' turn. It's the Sixers. It's the Flyers' turn now. We're going to talk about it for a while now, Jason. How excited are you, man?
First of all, it's so just really nice to see both of your awesome faces, smiling faces. I miss you guys so much. You guys are the best. I mean, playing the Philly all the way, man. Um, I think that obviously I'm really excited to be back because like I get to be with my home crew and my family, and we get to talk about Philly sports. And there's really nothing better in the entire world than talking about Philly sports, especially when the teams are doing so well that you just can't get them off your mind. I got to be honest with you. I was actually watching the Phillies documentary and I shed a couple of tears. I really did because
Hard
that
not
run
to.
was incredible. And, a lot of people have been telling me, you know what? Okay, the Phillies didn't win the World Series. The Union did not win, the national championship, World Cup. But you know what? It's the Eagles' turn right now. And I think that this kind of sets them up for like this big moment. And I feel like as Philly sports fans, we deserve that.
I
1000%.
I totally
Bro.
agree with you, Jason. We definitely deserve a winner here in this town. The Phillies almost got it done. That was kind of a surprise. How about them Eagles? They're on their way, Jen. They are on their way. They get the first round bye. Thank goodness, because I think everyone was panicking. I was panicking a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But I kind of just knew
Were
they
you?
were going to get it done against the Giants. I knew they were going to get it done against the Giants. I had that panic inside, but because we just know how it goes in Philadelphia. Things can turn out and turn sideways quickly. It didn't happen. They got it done against the Giants. We were good to go. Jen, they head in this bye week. They don't have to play in the wild card round. I want to know. What are your expectations heading into that first game? No matter who they play, what do you expect from this team right now with all that's going on with the injuries, etc.?
Yes, so I first and foremost, first thing that came to mind was correct the mistakes that they've had throughout the season, the last down the stretch kind of thing that they had going on. Some of the mistakes that were very worrying that put us in that kind of anxious position. I was going to say that they need to correct them, but they should have already been corrected so that way when we headed into this spot that the Eagles would be set. Obviously, injuries came in and they're definitely a factor, and we lost Lane Johnson, Josh Sweat. Jalen Hurts for a little bit, so of course it's understandable. But now that the team is back, even though they're not 100%, even though the team is back for the most part, I'm expecting them to just be able to show up and just be able to really take on whoever it is that they gotta take on. Now, obviously, if the Eagles take on the Giants, it's going to look a little different. Their game plan is going to look a little different than what would be the Cowboys, or somehow if the Seahawks got the upset, or the Buccaneers. But I'm really looking for the team to just be able to be focused right now because there's a lot at stake. Obviously, it's a one and done situation with any team who goes into the playoffs. So I need the Eagles to be focused. I need them to realize like what is ahead of them, who could they be potentially playing, because it's the NFL playoffs, and obviously upsets can come at any round. I think last year, both first seeds got knocked out in the divisional round. So you got to be buckled down, focused, having the game plan ready no matter who it's going to be, and ready to just move on from the mistakes that they had and be able to just really dominate and continue their playoff and continue the good season that they've had.
Yeah, I listen. They struggled coming down the stretch, but that we knew why that was. They didn't have Jalen Hurts as their starting quarterback. They had Gardner Minshew and as their starter. Played well against Dallas. Played really well against Dallas, but against an inferior opponent, the Saints did not play very well. But Jalen Hurts comes back, kind of played in like a preseason type atmosphere against the Giants. They got it done. It was a little closer than people expected, but I going into this second round, Jason, for me, I think that this is a team that should get past the second round, no problem. They should be at least into the conference championship. That's where my expectation is at. I don't know how you're feeling. They will play the lowest remaining seed. Now, if that's Seattle, that's fantastic. Could you imagine a Seattle first Eagle? Oh, I'd love it. If San Francisco was knocked off, but that's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, Jason. Just for you, heading into this first playoff game, a little over a week now away from it. What is your feeling heading into this game? Whoever they play, doesn't matter the opponent, just for the expectations for this team that they set upon themselves.
I expect Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen to come out with a really good offensive game plan to get Miles Sanders going on the ground.
I hope so.
Because in the very last game, well, what happened on the very first 6 plays? It was all pass. That's literally all it was.
Was it 9 or 10?
I can understand.
Right? It might have been 9 or 10 straight plays, I think.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I don't know why I said 6. I'm sorry. But anyhow, like, the long story short is, okay, I understand. Like, you don't want Hurts to escape the pocket. You don't want him to get injured, like that type of a thing. You want him to work more on his arm and on his throwing accuracy. And I understand that. But at the same time, you do have a running back that has been playing pretty well, throughout this season, and I really want to see him going. Okay? That's really the biggest thing that I'm looking for. I don't know what type of defense we're going to get from JG and the whole defensive coordinating side of things. I do understand that the Eagles led the league in sacks, and they also had like the most sacks, I believe, in their franchise history. Is that right?
That is correct.
Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So I do expect like the front seven to play really well. I don't know what's going to happen, in the secondary with Avonte Maddox. I don't think he's going to be there or anything like that.
So it doesn't seem like it.
I do feel like that they're going to struggle in that area, but I do expect that the front seven does pretty well. The one thing that I just don't know, and I have to see it for myself, is what type of quarterback we're going to get in Jalen. I think that his mind's going to be there, and I feel like the mentality of him, dominating the game. I feel like everything that he sees is all going to be there, but can he physically execute? And if the Eagles have to come up with a play, on like a really big drive within like 2 minutes left, can he get it done? I don't know. And I think that those are my expectations going forward, and some of my questions as well.
Yeah, and that brings me to kind of our next point, Jen, is what's going to worry us heading into these playoffs? I mean, I have some concerns. I'll share them in a sec, but Jen, I mean, the injuries, that's clearly, I think, on everyone's mind, especially with Jalen Hurts and, him missing time this season. He was the MVP candidate. We've been down this road before as Philly sports fans. This time you get your starting quarterback back. But just your kind of some of your worries. What concerns you heading into this first game in divisional round, heading in beyond that too, because I expect them to win this first game in the divisional round. They should win. They won 14 freaking games this year. They should win this at least one playoff game.
Yeah, two things, and I guess both kind of coincide with each other. But going off the injury point, I think one thing that's going to worry me, no matter if they make it past the divisional round or if they win the Super Bowl, fingers crossed, that the players are still going to be injured throughout each step of the playoffs. So they're not going to, I mean, like, yes, they're going to have time to heal, but they're not necessarily going to heal as much and as fast. Now, of course, Jalen Hurts is still day to day with his shoulder injury. So it's going to be a little concerning to see the fact that these guys are coming. Now, obviously, they've got the break this week, of course, but it's going to be a little concerning seeing some of these players not being 100% healthy. And I don't want them, one, to get further injured, because it's just, the human in all of us, from some things that we saw back with the Bills game a couple weeks ago, of course, with Damar Hamlin. We don't want them to get further injured, and we want them to be able to sustain their playoff stretch. So that's one concern that I have. And then the second one being something that Jason touched on, which is hopefully running the ball. And by running the ball, you're alleviating some pressure off Jalen Hurts and that shoulder, of course, because he can make plays on his feet as well. But I read a stat from RG3 on Twitter that said 75% of the time, and so it was like 75% of something. When you run the ball in the playoffs, and the teams that ran the ball in the playoffs, they managed to win. And last year, 5 of the 6 wildcard teams won their games. And the one thing that they had in common was running the ball and stopping the run. So that is something that the Eagles are going to need to kind of really hone in on when going against, the Cowboys potentially, or the Bucks, or, the other opponents that they could possibly face. So I think hopefully the game plan centers around a little more running and a little less passing, and just hopefully what we can see from these injuries.
Yeah, I mean, it's just they get away from the run so much, and it mind boggles me. You have Miles Sanders. Now, granted, he's been dealing with a little bit of an injury too. He's had that brace on his knee. Concerning. It's a little concerning for me about Sanders. But yeah, run the damn ball. Just run it. You have to run the ball, because this team, when they're more balanced and they run the ball with Sanders, they get their ball to Boston Scott, and that it alleviates pressure, just like you mentioned, Jen, for Jalen Hurts. So, yeah, I will say I'm concerned about the play calling. The play calling since that Chicago Bears game has taken a nosedive a little bit. That's just where we're at with it. And it's a little concerning. I think they'll get it right in this first playoff game. Hopefully Jalen. I mean, another concern, Jason's clearly, is Jalen going to be at 100%? I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, you saw in that Giants game, Jason, he was kind of playing in spite of his injury. Wasn't going to run a lot. Not I don't think there was any design called runs at all. And he got down pretty quickly, like Kirk Cousins usually does when he gets touched. So those are things that are concerning, especially the way they ended the season. The play calling wasn't great. Jalen Hurts' injury, is he going to be able to play at that max speed, taking off when he needs to? Those are just some concerns. What say you, Jason Joseph?
I think that more people would be hitting the panic button if the Eagles did lose to the Giants for a lot of reasons. And number one would be, Jalen would have to play in this weekend. So, he doesn't get that week off. And I feel like when you just look at it from that perspective, him just having the week off, not only does it help him, try to heal a little bit more physically, but I also feel like mentally that could really help him too. The one thing that I don't really know if I haven't really heard a lot of people touching up on it, but this team did struggle in the special teams this year at times. And so in the playoffs, man, field position, you have to get good field position. And when you're even when you're kicking the ball and you have to play defense, you really don't want to put the defense in a bad position, because there were times where they did that. And you would see their opponents, at the 40-yard line, in their own territory. And what can Jonathan Gannon do? What's the percentage him stopping, them from even just getting a field goal? So that's going to be something that I also kind of think about just in the back of my head. I don't know if it's like a big concern, but that's something that I'm definitely thinking about as well.
Yeah, it's got to be a concern. I mean, their special teams have not been good all year, and Kern did not look great as a replacement punter. He just did. He did
No.
not. Some of his punts last week not great. So that's definitely another concern. I mean, this team for 14 wins has some concerns. They're real. These are real concerns heading into the playoffs. I mean, we saw the Phillies. They went into the playoffs with a ton of momentum. This team has no momentum heading into the playoffs. They've lost 2 of their last 3. And they have a week off, which the week off I think will help them kind of reset a little bit. But with that, I mean, they had a great season. We cannot say they didn't have a great year. 14 wins, a franchise record for this team. And I want to give out a couple awards, regular season awards for the Eagles only, not around the NFL. We know the whole argument MVP. I get it. We'll give out just Philadelphia Eagles awards. So we're going to go most valuable player on the Eagles this year, and you can't say Jalen Hurts. I don't want anyone saying Jalen Hurts. We know he's the most valuable player. I think that's pretty simple, right? Let's try and stay away from Jalen Hurts. So we're not going to say Jalen Hurts is the most valuable player. Someone other than him, the most valuable player, the most improved, and the most disappointing. Yes, I want to know each of your guys most disappointing. I'll go to Jason first, and then I'll go to Jen. Jason, you go first.
I have a very, very quick question. Is Lane Johnson playing?
Yes, Lane Johnson will most likely be playing. Yeah.
Okay, that is a very big sigh of relief. Okay, I think that when you just take a look at the team, I think defensively, Hassan Reddick should be considered to be their most valuable player, especially in that front 7, because we talked about it earlier, like even before the season started, like when you just could think about the hypotheticals. And you could think to yourself, like, oh, Fletcher Cox, like, doesn't necessarily have to do as much because the pressure's not just going to be going on him. Like, Hassan's going to get more of the pressure. Brandon Graham's going to get, coming back. And I really feel like Hassan has made some really big plays. There were a couple of games 100%. where he actually made like a really good defensive play that actually got Jalen the ball back. And it was those types of things that really just took the momentum out of their opponent, and the Eagles just went right back into the locker room celebrating, with all joy and everything, because I feel like everything that he does on that field, he puts his blood, sweat, and tears on it, and he makes such a big difference when you look at the Eagles defense.
Yeah, 16 sacks for Hassan Reddick. Has to be right. Jen, who would your MVP be?
Yeah, so I have to agree with Hassan Reddick and, with Jason's pick on Hassan Reddick. So I'll look on the other side of the ball for my MVP pick. Why can't I talk today? And I'm going to go with Devontae Smith. Now, of course, there can be a case made for A.J. Brown as well, but I think Devontae Smith has had himself an incredible second season with the Eagles, and he's always been reliable. He's an incredible route runner. We can go on and on with all the things he's insanely good at, and I think having Jalen Hurts and having that chemistry, and then having A.J. Brown and also having that chemistry created like a trifecta kind of thing. And in turn, it helped relieve a lot of pressure off of Devontae Smith, even though he's still going to do what he does best. And I think just for those reasons, he's definitely somebody who should be MVP in my book. I'm not going to lie. I was going to say Jalen Hurts, but if I can't pick Jalen Hurts, then I definitely would go with Devontae Smith.
Yeah, I had to go on the fly. I was like, we know it's Jalen Hurts. We know he's the most valuable player. He should be the most valuable player of the entire league. But we're not going to get into that conversation just now. But I'm going to give a co-MVP, two players. Okay. On the offensive side, Lane Johnson, you just mentioned Jason, and A.J. Brown. Lane Johnson hasn't allowed a sack since the year 2020, since the dismal year of 2020. So I got to go Lane Johnson. I mean, we saw kind of how much of a step back the offensive line took when he goes out. It's very obvious. The drop-off between Driscoll and Lane Johnson, it's not close. Lane Johnson is one of the best tackles in football, if not the best tackle in football. And just to have him not on the offensive line, it makes an immediate difference. And the record without him in games is under 500. It's not even close. So Lane Johnson proves how much every single week he is a value to this team. And so I have to give it to him. But then I cannot leave out A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, adding him this year, it allowed Devontae Smith to flourish. It allowed Jalen Hurts to flourish. The
Dallas
impact,
Goedert.
Yeah, Dallas Goedert as well, when he was healthy throughout a good part of the year. I mean, he draws a lot of attention. He has these big games. He is that overpowering presence. He's a true number one. And you have 1A next to him, like Jen mentioned, in Devontae Smith. It's basically 1A. So I think I'm going to go co-MVPs. I'm going to be that guy. So I'm going to give Lane Johnson and A.J. Brown because their impact's so significant and they're such impact players to this football team. I have to go there. I have to go there. So we'll speed it up a little bit and we'll do both of them right here. Most improved and most disappointing this year. Jason, you're up next.
Is this for just the Eagles or is it just
the
like
Eagles?
around
Just
the
the
league?
Eagles.
Okay.
Just the Eagles.
Okay, most improved. Obviously it has to be Jalen. Like,
All right, I like
he's
it.
easily improved so much, and you can see like, I mean, like when I went to Sneaker Bowl, with a Jen this year, and I literally saw him, like he just looked so good. Like it looked like he gained a lot of muscle. It looked like he had this different type of, composure and mentality to him, and it just looked like he was all focused. And every time, like you listen to him, like after a press conference, he all he wants is just the prize. Like that's literally his mindset right now, to get healthy and to win the bowl. That's literally it. And I love that. I'm the type of person where, if you just go out there on the field and you give it your all and you focus on the end goal, that's what really matters to me. So I have to say he's the most improved player of the year, especially for the Eagles. The most disappointing player. Oh man, see that's tough because I don't really know where I could go with that. Because like who really has been disappointing? Like
you could say no one. You could say no one if you want.
Pretty much.
I just can't think. I really can't think of anybody.
All right,
Jake Elliott, but like if I'm, but that's if
you
I'm being like
player of the week
nitpicky.
last week. Yeah, you're being nitpicky. You won player of the week, special teams player of the week last week.
Yeah,
That's being very nitpicky. I do have one. Jen, I'll let you go first. Your most improved and most disappointing.
I gotta say real quick, he got of the week, like special of the week, but he didn't get of the month, so that's a little disappointing there.
It's not the Jason standards. It's not the Jason standards.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry.
No, go on. What were you saying?
No, I was just gonna say. Okay, so I literally thought of it. Nakobe Dean.
Okay. He didn't. It's because he didn't. I feel like it's because he
Dean.
didn't get a lot of playing time. I feel like that. Yeah, I think that's kind of why you'd be a little disappointed. Yeah.
Yes.
That's fair. That's fair. Jen, go ahead.
Most improved. I've got to say, I can't really think of anybody. I think Jason kind of hit the nail on the head. I think for most improved, I got to go with a specific part of the team, and I got to say defense. And of course, you can make the case back and forth on how the defense has been good in some games and then worse in others, and I'll get to why with my most disappointing in a second. But I think the defense has really showed that they can be, a strong part of the team, and defense wins championships, just to put it shortly. But down the stretch, when they had all those running backs they had to go against, they shut them down. And for that, I was kind of, I was really scared. I'm not going to lie, of what the defense would have been able to do. But I'm very proud of the defense, just to say it like that. But I think the defense has improved a lot, especially from last season. Now, on the flip side, with most disappointing, I too can't think of a player, but I do have a specific coach in mind. And I'm sorry to say it, it was in the beginning and it was at the end of the season. Jonathan Gannon, I think he's going to make an incredible Texans head coach. I just think there was a stretch where he was doing good. And then he just lost me. He just lost me. So it's got to be Jonathan Gannon.
You praised the defense and
I'm
then
so
threw him under
curious.
the bus. Jen, you were praising the defense and then threw Gannon under the bus.
Well, you know what? It's the talent on defense,
Okay, it's a talent. I
but the
got
play
it.
calling could use a little more work.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
you know, I,
No, dude,
I,
I just have to
Jason
say
can't
like
breathe
really
over here.
quickly.
Go
I just
ahead,
have
go
to
ahead.
say like really quickly. Like I don't know why. Like the thing that like popped into my head is like, have you ever like had like, have you ever been to like a moment like where somebody like has a cake, right? And then like they couldn't eat the cake, like, oh yeah, like it's your birthday, but like you can't eat it or like
Yeah, you're not
something
allowed
like
to
that.
touch it.
I feel like that's I feel like that's just what happened to Jonathan Gannon and Jen segment.
He's just not, it's like Jason's standards. Jonathan Gannon's never going to live up to these standards. And like, here's an example of that. Okay, we
I
have
know what
Hassan
we're
Reddick.
clipping for this week. I know what we're clipping for this week.
I'm just saying. We
That
have
is
Hassan
funny.
Reddick, who was Jason's
Yeah,
MVP, and
I
then there were
agree.
times where he was dropped back in coverage like that.
No, I agree.
Those are situations that can't happen. But those were my most improved and most disappointing. They kind of coincide with each other. If you couldn't tell, but yeah.
And we can't forget about 3rd and 30.
Yeah,
Like that
yeah.
was terrible.
I know. I know. Unfortunately, my most improved will go to Jonathan Gannon this year. I have it written down right here, right on my phone in my little notepad. I
Gosh.
have Jonathan Gannon. He brought this defense to a top ranked defense. Yes, do personnel have a lot to do with it? Yeah. Does his play calling infuriate me at times?
Yes.
100%. But I mean, he helped this team get to a level that they were not even close to last year. And, they are one of the top defenses. They led the league in sacks. They rivaled the 1985 Bears. And they only got there rushing 4 guys most of the time. Didn't blitz a ton. So, I got to give a little bit of credit to Jonathan Gannon. I'll say because the defense improved, I'll give it to Jonathan Gannon as my most improved this year. Because, the way they rank this year in terms of total defense, they're one of the best in the league. And they beat some really good teams this season. So I got to give Gannon a little bit of props. I know Jen won't. I have to give him a little bit of credit. And I have been a huge Gannon critic. Especially when they hired him last year. And we know it. When we were at Rowan, I was bashing him every single week on this show.
Yep.
So
Yep,
I got to give him credit. I mean, this is a top ranked defense. They're playing extremely well. Even the past 2 weeks, I thought, or at least last week against the Giants, they're the reason they won that game. The offense didn't do too much. So I'll give them credit. They early on in the season, they were forcing turnovers as well. So I will give Gannon a little bit of props on this show today. I know we're not a Gannon fan club here, but I will give him. I'll give it to him. And then my most disappointed, I do have one player. I will say Quez Watkins. Quez Watkins had a fumble problem this year. Cost them a big game. What game was that? Against the Commanders. Having that big fumble on a beautiful pass by Jalen Hurts. We remember that was the Dallas Goedert face mask game. Not great. It's just a forgettable night in general. But listen,
that was their first loss.
Yeah, I think Quez Watkins, I think he had a little bit of a disappointing year, a little bit of a down year. Had his moments at times, but some of the positions I thought Steichen put him in weren't for him to succeed. Running these crossing routes, these slant routes, I just don't think that is his cup of tea. I need him running go routes down the sideline, catching these deep passes. That's what he should be doing. So I don't think it's all his fault, but he did have a down year, and I would say he is my most disappointing. So
going back to your, I was going to say, going back to your Gannon point about how the defense, yes, like roster construction wise, like the defense totally got better. You could also, like, to be devil's advocate, you could say the same thing about Jalen Hurts too, in a sense, because AJ Brown, right? You get that acquisition, you get more people on that O line, and he gets like all this protection. And you think to yourself, like, I know a lot of people were thinking as soon as they played Dallas, like after that game was over, they were thinking to themselves, is Jalen really the MVP? Because look at what Gardner Minshew did, with that same offensive line and those same weapons and all that type of stuff. So I can kind of understand how you could kind of go back and forth between that as well, because yes, while you have to acknowledge that the individuals did get better, they got more help as well.
They did. Yeah. And,
So it's a fair game.
and that's a credit to Howie Roseman. That's just a credit to Howie Roseman and the
Who
job he
deserves
did.
GM of the year?
Oh, he's the
deserves
executive
it.
of the year by a mile. It's not close, and it shouldn't be close. But yeah, I
My man
think
got the Titans GM fired.
he did. He literally did. He did. After the game, he was gone. He was gone. Oh, he fleeced them. Howie's always fleecing. He's fleecing the Saints every week too. It seems like every single year he's fleecing the Saints. So
Yeah.
that'll be our Eagles talk for today. I want to move a little bit to a little fun topic. Now I saw this literally right before we started recording. Matt McClung. Now this is a name probably not many people know. Matt McClung is a guard on the Delaware Bluecoats. He's 6'2", and he's going to be in the dunk contest this year. Not the G League dunk contest, the NBA dunk contest. So according to Shams, McClung will be the first ever G League player in the NBA dunk contest. This has never happened. So a Delaware Bluecoat that nobody really knows nationally will be in the dunk contest this year. And I just thought that was pretty wild. And it got me thinking, what is your favorite moment from the dunk contest? There's a lot over the years that's happened, but recent years it's kind of gone a little downhill, but maybe Matt McClung brings it back. You never know. So Jen, I'll go to you first. Your thoughts on this story, just in general, having a minor leaguer basically going to the pros to be in the dunk contest. Nuts, just nuts. Your thoughts and your favorite moment.
Yeah, I think it's really cool because I just, being able to see somebody from a G League, from a minor league get, like national attention, especially in our area, I think it's really cool. So I'm really excited to see hopefully what he's got in store. Hopefully he will bring back, some sort of excitement to the dunk contest. Cause like you said, it's kind of been a little bleh in recent years. But going back quite a few years before it kind of went downhill a little bit, in 2016, Aaron Gordon had an under the leg mascot dunk.
Yes.
And yes. I think that was pretty cool because how it's got to be hard. I mean, let alone, listen, I'm not an athlete at all. That's why I write about sports. But let alone jumping over a mascot or onto a mascot or whatever, just having a mascot, fully dressed it within that vicinity and doing the dunk contest, that is pretty hard. So major props to Gordon for being able to pull that off because that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that dunk. That was a fantastic dunk contest that year. Aaron Gordon's been in, I think, a couple of times, if I'm not mistaken, Jason.
Yes, he has.
He always puts on a show, it seems like, for the most part. Jason, how about you? Your thoughts on the story and your favorite moment?
I think it's a really cool story, especially because it hits home for all of us, obviously, because of Rowan and because of the Bluecoats and everything that all of us did for those two. I almost said entities, for those two organizations.
It's a good word. It's a good word.
Yeah.
Expanding your vocab there, Jason. I like to see it. Vocab word of the day goes to Jason.
I guess that's what happens when you just get more and more reps, just doing stuff on YouTube and just being on the air. So hey, I'll take that. No, so I think it's a really cool story, and I think that overall, it's cool to be able to be a first to do something like that. I also kind of look at it too, I can't lie. I kind of look at it too as if not as many players that are like the LeBron caliber type of players. They don't want to do that because of injuries, and I feel like that also draws in a lot of attention, and that's not really a good look for the league. I feel like both things can be true. It's a really, really cool story, but also I look at it from a league perspective as well. And I don't know, I have to look at it from that sort of perspective. But my favorite dunk contest. Well, my favorite dunk. Okay. It's tough because you could go with any of the Superman, dunks with Dwight Howard, and especially him going up against Nate Robinson. You could do the Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine competition, that they went back and forth with a couple of times. But I feel like you could also go Vince Carter if you want to go old school.
Yep.
But for me, when I first got into basketball, I'll never forget this. I saw this guy. He was the number 1 pick in the 2008 draft, and that his name was Blake Griffin. And as soon as he dunked over that Kia car, okay, first of all, those commercials were awesome. By the way,
they were. Yes,
they were awesome commercials. But as soon as they like brought that car onto the court, I was thinking like, what the heck is going on? Like this was like 14-year-old me. Like they're bringing a car on a court, and he's gonna dunk over that. Like he's gonna leap over that, and he's just gonna dunk on it. And that was really cool. And the young Blake Griffin was just so athletic. He could make any type of a dunk. I'll never forget that Jamal Williams, bounce in between the legs, and he just dunked like right over him. That was so cool, man. And I just feel like that dunk where he just jumped right over the car, that was special.
Yeah, it was. It was. I do remember watching that. That was so cool. And I think we like. I remember like out in the playground, we try and like jump over things and try. Like, we bring the basketball down and we try and jump over things. So, but Jen, I looked up the Aaron Gordon dunk. I forgot that was the Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon. I totally forgot. That was a heck of a dunk contest. Those two were great that year. So that was a really good one. I'm gonna go old school on a classic. Michael Jordan from the free throw line. He started a whole trend. Everyone tries to do it every single year in a different kind of way. Jordan from the free throw line. This is why he's the GOAT. He started trends. He started trends when the dunk contest wasn't really a huge deal like it is today, and how it became. Michael Jordan from the free throw line. My favorite dunk to go. One of my favorite dunks, along with the Blake Griffin and the Superman, to go back and just watch. It has to be on this list. So that'll be mine. My Jordan. I have to get my Jordan sense in here because we know how much I love LeBron James. So we'll move on and we'll stay in basketball. We'll go to the Philadelphia 76ers. Now I just want to get some Flyers and Sixers in before we wrap up the show with Space Jam in like we usually do. Jen, listen, the Sixers, they've been playing well. I mean, they had a point where they won, I believe it was 11 straight at home. Recently they just lost a game to the Oklahoma City Thunder at home. What are you going to do? But they've been playing well, and Joel Embiid, when he's been in the lineup, has been MVP caliber. I mean, are we starting to believe in the Sixers, Jen? Are we starting to maybe come around on this team, or are we still thinking, they're out in the second round?
I don't think they're out in the second round by any means. I think they hopefully continue what they were building on last season with the momentum and the fun that they had, kind of which is reminiscent to the Eagles this season, of course. But, speaking, because we talk about this with the sports betting network that I work for, and we're always bringing up NBA MVP futures. And in terms of Joel, he is not atop the leaderboard for MVP like he was last year. So there's still that, coming from Vegas, it's telling you a lot. So for me, I'm hoping to see a little more. I'm hoping to see, I guess, a little more stability with the team. And then maybe that, his MVP case, of course, will skyrocket and we'll be back to the same position we were last season. But I think the team is starting to get somewhere. And I hope, of course, as a Philly sports fan, that they continue the momentum and just kind of, go from there. Hopefully we see things really turn around and really pick up when we get closer to the playoffs, because I'm sure once we hit the playoffs, the team is set. I have no doubt. I think that they can really get things done and then really help build the case for Joel.
Jen, I like the positivity. I really do. I want to get there.
From the Jonathan Gannon talk.
I want to get there, Jason. I want to get there with this team. Oh, they're just so frustrating to watch sometimes. I don't see it. Jason, I want to see it. I said this. Jen works with Ryan Rothstein as well. I said this to him not too long ago. After Christmas, that's when I want to start seeing if this team's maybe for real. They get Maxey back. They're fully healthy now. I don't see it. I don't know. I think they're another second round exit. Again, I just feel like it's looming. It's just we're just waiting for the playoffs for them to get there and just get it over with. I don't know, Jason. How are you feeling?
I think that we have to kind of go in with like more of a clearer mind because we don't know like what's going to happen until like March and April come around. But at the same time, I feel like we've been spoiled right now because the Phillies went on a run themselves and we were really gifted with a World Series run from them. And then the Eagles have just been like unbelievable throughout this entire season. And when you look at the Sixers, they've just been a second round exit for the past 4 years. So I feel like a lot of it just has to do with frustration. Some of it still goes back all the way back to Brett Brown and Ben Simmons. And as crazy as that sounds, that's just the reality of everything. So, but if we look at it from just a clear perspective and we just focus on just this season with the team, I do feel like that when they put it all together, they haven't been consistent, but they have shown you that they can have firepower and that they can do damage. And then the other thing that you have to think about as well is who in the Eastern Conference can you definitively say is coming out of the East? I don't know if Boston's going to come out. I don't know if Milwaukee's going to come out. Miami has not been even playing 500 basketball as of lately. And I just don't know if there's a clear-cut favorite.
Boston Kevin Durant's hurt. Kevin Durant's hurt in Brooklyn.
Yeah, and that was the other team I was thinking of as well. But I just feel like what they have to do is, first of all, obviously they have to stay healthy. That's number one. Number two is they just need to continue to get reps. Part of the reason why that they were a second-round exit for the past 4 years is because at the trade deadline, they made big roster moves. And I'm sorry, team chemistry goes a long way. And it seems like that there have been nights where when they're all out there, they are gelling. And so I just feel like that they don't even have to go after Kevin Durant right now.
No.
And we can talk about that. Like, I'm sure I know that other people disagree with it, but at this time, man, it's just all about consistency and chemistry. Those two C's.
And, if Daryl Morey wants to go out and make, some additions to the bench,
sure,
to make the team a little that's fine. Yeah. I don't necessarily see them making that gigantic move again this year. I don't think that's going to happen. And you don't really hear it going to, and they shouldn't. So I don't know. This team's just weird to me. And, maybe we get that Phillies type spark at the end of the year. Maybe that happens. Because, last year in the beginning of the year, we didn't think the Phillies were going to make it this far. They make the coaching change, and then they go on a run to the World Series. So anything's possible. It's about the health of this team, though. They have to stay healthy if they want to have a shot at anything. At anything, they have to stay healthy. Embiid has to be on the floor in the playoffs. So I don't mind him sitting out games right now. They get in as a 4 or 5 seed, fine. They don't have to be the first seed. But you have to keep him healthy. Harden has to stay healthy. Maxey, he's young. Unfortunate injury that occurred to him. He's going to be back. He'll be okay. Listen, they just have to stay healthy, and I'm still in wait-and-see mode. I want to get past the All-Star break, and when they're coming down the stretch, let's see how they play then. When things start tightening up a little bit, that's when I want to see the Sixers kind of move forward. So I want to get one quick thing in before we go and go to Space Jam. And Jason, your thoughts on the Flyers right now? They're playing phenomenal hockey. Let me hear it. Give it to me.
Okay, well, first of all, I got to give an apology to John Tortorella and the whole Comcast organization because
we don't have to go that far. We don't have to
No. You have to hear me out on this. Okay? There was a whole report that they've actually banned iPads in the locker room, and I must apologize in advance because guess what I'm holding in my hand? An iPad. Okay, I apologize about that. I know that we've won 5 out of our last 6 games, and I know that our team is doing really well, and Farabee's making his shots, and guys like Wade Allison are stepping up. But I have to apologize in advance, John, because you know what? I'm a disgrace because I brought an iPad with me to a podcast.
I didn't even hear that story.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, you got to read up on it.
Oh, you got to send me that.
On Broad Street.
Oh, yeah. My God. All right.
Yeah,
well,
he's
listen, they're winning. They're winning games. They're not supposed to. They have no future right now, but they're all right. Well, maybe they'll get a high draft pick. Maybe they'll be in the top 10. Hopefully. That'd be nice. You don't want a mid-round pick, but
hey,
all right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jason.
No, I was just gonna say, like at the end of the day, Like I even said this about, other teams that like I've supported. Like if they can go to the playoffs, you know what? I'm gonna ride or die with them. You know,
No, of course.
that's
We all will.
that's
I just have
that's
no
just how I
faith
look
in
at it.
management there. Not one bit. I have
No,
no
I
faith in
agree.
management.
I
But
agree. I don't have any faith in ownership.
but hey, that's how it goes. Now let's end the show on a lighter note. Jen, get us started with Space Jam. What have you been listening to?
Yeah, so I gotta tell like the quick version of the story. Of course, I told you guys. So I bought the Philly Special Christmas album for my dad for surprise for
Love it.
Christmas. And by the way, 10 out of 10
Surprise.
album. Jordan Mailata, mwah, with the vocals,
Got
like he can
pipes,
do it
man.
all.
Got
Um,
pipes.
so what's cool about it is that was a surprise gift for my dad, but the surprise gift for me was a record player, which of course you got to play the Philly Special Christmas on the record player. But the day after Christmas, my mom and I went shopping. Now, if you want to get some great deals, go the day after Christmas if you're not doing anything, because like we got some incredible deals. But with that being said, of course, I'm going back to my roots in the new year with the weekend. I've been listening to the after hours on the record player. I've got the record. It's awesome. That's what I've been listening to, and that's probably what I'll continue listening to for the next year, because the album is now like 3 years old. So yeah.
That's fantastic. That I need to get a record player. I do like enjoy having the vinyls, just like kind of like a nostalgic type thing. Um,
Exactly.
I do like, so I need a record player. That's my next thing. I have to get one. I'm with you on that. I love it. Jason, for you, what have you been bumping lately?
Okay, so I might open a can of worms here, and I don't really know if I should do this or not. I
What?
apologize to all the New England people out there, okay? But I'm not gonna lie. To be fair, I'm in the Philadelphia area, and I'm surrounded by WIP 97.5, the Fanatic NFL Films. Like I'm surrounded by all this all Eagles stuff, okay? And Fly Eagles Fly has literally been stuck in my head for the past week. And I'm
Oh
not gonna
yes,
lie, it is like the catchiest chant in the entire
yes.
freaking
You're
world.
damn right. It is.
It
Yeah, of
really
course it
is.
is.
Very true.
And but the other thing I have to mention too, though, is that Sweet Caroline. I've been
It's a
trying to
great
give
song.
Boston, a little bit of love over there. I know that that's not the Patriots song. I
I know
understand
you're
that it's the
3 for 4.
Boston song,
It's because you're a
but
3 for 4 guy. You're four
yes.
for five. I could say. I'll count the Union in there.
Exactly, but the other reason why that song makes me happy is because we got Dave Dombrowski and Kyle Schwarber from Boston. So, but like that's just off the record, even though we're on the record here.
I
But
love
yeah,
it. Good
no, those
morning, good
two
afternoon,
songs.
and good night to Boston. Oh my God! So I had to go. So recently at a company event I attended, AJR. I don't know if you've heard of this band.
Yes.
Phenomenal band. They've put
Bang,
me
bang,
on.
bang. Here we
Yeah,
go.
they have Bang.
Yeah. Oh,
What
that's
is?
such a good
There's
song.
another. They have another one too. I've been listening to. Let me pull it up. It's
Gosh.
Burn the House Down. It's
Burn
another
the
good
house
one.
down. Oh,
Yep.
it's a good
And
song.
World's Smallest Violin have been in my rotation nonstop
They are good
since I got
songs.
to meet AJR. So AJR, big fan now. You got a fan on board. A little out of my comfort zone for my usual stuff of like
It
rock and
is.
roll, hip hop. AJR a little different.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's pretty good. So I've been bumping AJR. So what do we got? So we got Fly Eagles Fly. We got The Weekend, and we got AJR. What a three this week we had in Space Jamming.
It's giving
Oh.
variety.
We're going all
Yeah.
over the universe. That's what's happening. We're going all over the universe.
Hey, new year, new us.
Yeah. Oh, you gotta love it.
Yep.
Well, guys, it's been fun. We're back. We're gonna do this every single week. We're gonna come out with an episode. I'm excited. Jason's excited. I know Jen is as well. So thank you guys for listening. More stuff coming on the way with Planet Philly. Keep an eye out on all the socials at Planet Philly Pod, at Planet Philly Pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And then if you want to email us at planetphillypod@gmail.com. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Have a good day.